Sarvamangala Paranyam Varadam Shubham Narayanam Namaskritya Sarvakarmani Karye. Before beginning any action, one should first salute the Divine Lord, the good, the pure, the grantor of boons, the auspiciousness of all auspicious things. Om Vishnu Paramatmanam Sarapashanti Surayati Vindachakshuratanam Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavasthangato Piva Yasmare Pundaritaksham Savanyam Yantarashiti. The seers see always the supreme truth, like an eye as vast as the sky. Whether pure or impure, in whatever state one may be, by remembering God, one becomes pure both inside and out.
Yoga Saha Nirodhana Samadhitamana Nirakita Vanjana Dukha Janjana Karuna Ghana Karma Pranarpana Jagatsaranam Pranarpana Jagatsaranam Krintana Garido Kanchana Kama Kanchana Atirindrita Indriyara Tyagishwara Jenara Yagishwara Jenara Deho Pade Anurag Nirbhaya Jata Sanchaya Jagdishchaya Manasava Nirkarana Bhakata Nishkarana Bhakata Yati Jati Kulama Sampada Sripada Bhavapushpada Mariyathai Premarpana Samadarshana Premarpana Samadarshana Jana Jana Dukha Sambhagata Sripada Bhavapushpada Variyathai Premarpana Samadarshana Premarpana Samadarshana Jaga Jana Dukha Namo Namo Prabhuvatya Manatita Namo Namo Prabhuvatya Manatita Manovachanaigadha Prabhu Manovachanaigadha Jyotira Jyoti Udara Dikandara Jyotira Jyoti Udara Dikandara Tumita Mobandana Prabhu Tumita Mobandana Namo Namo Prabhu Vakya Manadika Namo Namo Prabhu Vakya Manadika Manovachanaigadha Prabhu Manovachanaigadha Jyotira Jyoti Udara Dikandara Jyotira Jyoti Udara Dikandara Tumita Mobandana Prabhu Tumita Mobandana Jai Langa Ranga Banga Bane Anga Sanga Mridanga Jai Langa Ranga Banga Bane Anga Sanga Mridanga Jai Chanda Bhakta Vrinda Arati Tomar Jai Chanda Bhakta Vrinda Arati Tomar Jaya Jaya Arati Tomar Har Har आरती त्वमा शिव शिव आरती त्वमा जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय।
Okay, Bharatji. Come, Bharatji. And Stuart Maharaj just sit over here. So I'll give a little introduction, just a few words, because everyone knows you better than me. And so you can, just Stuart Maharaj can say some words, and you can. Do you want him to say something first, or you want to begin? Okay. Okay.
So you can say.
Yes, I'll use this microphone over here.
Okay.
So let me begin with the chant as always. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya Aviravir Maedhi Rudrayatte Dakshinam Mukham Tena Mam Pahi Nityam Tena Mam Pahi Nityam. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Reach us through and through ourself, O Lord, and protect us evermore from ignorance by thy sweet, compassionate face. Om Vishnur va Tripurantako bhavatu va Brahma Surendrotha va Bhanur va Shashalakshanoth Bhagavan Buddhota Siddhota va Raga Dvesha Visharti Moharahita Sattvanukampodyato Yassarve Sahasamskrito Gunaganais Tasmai Namah Sarvada. The Supreme Reality and its messengers are known by various names in various traditions. But as for me, I offer my worship always to the one going by any name and belonging to any tradition, who is free from attachment and hatred, free from worldliness and delusion, who is filled with compassion towards all living beings, and is possessed of all noble virtues. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Swami Sarvadevananda Ji Maharaj from the Vedanta Society of Southern California, but he is also the head of the Vedanta Society of Greater Houston. So it's not like I am here to welcome someone from outside, but to welcome back the head of the center. So it's a great blessing for us to have him here again after 3 years. It was 3 years ago that he was last here, either April or May, 3 years ago. He would have come the next year, but then the pandemic had begun. And so for 2 years, he wasn't able to come. There was 1 year before the pandemic began, and then the 2 years of the pandemic. And so after 3 years, he's here. So it's a great blessing for us to have him back. Again, the head of the center, and a wonderful Swami. We're so happy to see him, and some of you knew him long before you knew me. And so I'm not here to introduce him, because most of you know him very well, more than you know me. Then I'm also very happy to welcome my friend, my buddy, my pal, Swami Atmajnanananda, and my brother, dear brother, who runs the Vedanta Society of Greater Washington, D.C., where he's developed a wonderful center. That center also is under the guidance of Swami Sarvadevananda ji. He's the head not only of Southern California, but also of Houston, of Washington, D.C., of Ridgely Manor, and guides many private centers as well. But as I work here, so Swami Atmajnanananda works in Washington, D.C., and he's developed a beautiful center. Some of you have been there. Those of you who haven't, I invite you to go. And he certainly is one of the most welcoming of Swamis, so I have no fear of being contradicted by him. He would be the first to welcome you all personally. It's a beautiful center, a beautiful, big, beautiful temple, and a flourishing center. And so we're so happy to have both of the Swamis here. I want to go on with a longer introduction. Many of you know Atmajnanananda ji Swami also very well. So without further elaboration on their great gunas and accomplishments, let me ask Swami Atmajnanananda ji first to speak to you, and then Swami Sarvadevananda ji will speak to you. And again, we've just entitled this Satsang, an informal satsang where they can say what they want, whether they want to ask you for questions, that's okay, whatever they want to do. But it is a chance for you to spend time in their holy company. So, brother.
My connection with the Houston Center and Houston itself goes back to, I think, 1994 or so, something like that. And I'm always very happy to come here. When I went to India in 1978, I had a fellowship to study. I joined a little bit later. I wasn't a youngster like your Swami here. How old were you, Maharaj, when you joined? 19, yeah. So before I went, I had the fellowship to go to Kolkata for a year to study. And my plane came to New Delhi, but before I went there, I wanted to take a trip to Mayavati. I had a great desire to go. And lo and behold, I saw the first Western Swami that I'd ever met there, Swami Atmajnananda, who at that time was preparing to take his final vows. Yeah. And through him, some of the other Western monks who were in India. So we have a long association. And then when I joined in Trabuco, I think the year after I had joined, the Swami had come back from India and ended up there. So we overlapped there. So we've had a lot of overlapping through the years. So it was very nice for me to come here. I've had the opportunity to travel to India with Swami Sarvadevananda several times, so I'm used to being his opening act. This happened to us so many times. We visited so many small centers, private centers, and places in Bangladesh and everything. So I won't go on too long because he's the main speaker. But I'll just say one thing, because this is satsang. And when we read the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we find that one of the questions that was asked most often was, Upai ki? how do we realize God? He would talk about realize, but what are the means to do it? And Thakur had a list. If you go through all of the answers that he gave, you'll find that there'll be a variety of different things that he says in different order, but most of the time, holy company is number one. Most of the time. He emphasized that so much. If it's not possible, then solitude. Very often that was second, very often prayer, then meditation, and all of other japa or spiritual practices. But he emphasized holy company so much because there we get to develop some conviction about the truth of spiritual life. This is very important because we read all of these things. We read about transformation, forget about God realization, that's a little high. But we read about this transformation that takes place, joy and peace that comes. And we wonder, it sounds very nice. But when we actually see it, then this conviction grows. That yes, there's something very tangible that comes through spiritual practice. Through God realization, that's of course, there's no question about that. But even just through spiritual practice, leading a life devoted to spirituality, devoted to spiritual practice, devoted to service of others as worship of God, that these bring tremendous joy to one's life. And I think this is Vishwasa. Thakur uses this term a lot, Vishwas. The conviction that this is extremely important. Very often he'll say that this is almost the final rung of the ladder. That he said, if you get this Vishwasa, if you get this conviction, then you'll get everything. So we get that through holy company. We see a living example. Some transference takes place. That joy, that quiet joy and peace and contentment that we see with these great souls, something that's invaluable. We don't get it through anything else except through reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and the Gospel of Holy Mother. That's also a type of holy company because they're written in such a way that we feel that we're in their presence. So whenever we get these occasions, when the senior Swamis, like Swami Sarvadevananda comes, then really we have to learn to take advantage of it. We have to learn to soak in the atmosphere that we feel. We have to learn to appreciate the life of sadhana that's behind the person that we see now. This is another interesting thing. I remember so many of our senior Swamis. One example is Swami Lokeshwaranandaji. People would see him at the end of his life and think, jovial Swami, very sweet-natured and everything. But they don't know how much austerities he did. Swami Bhuteshanandaji Maharaj, president of the order, that just wonderful sense of humor and the sweet nature, loving nature, but they don't know all the years at Uttarkashi that he spent, hard austerities. So we see the fruits of this in later life. We don't always see what went behind it. And the dedication and the love and everything. So these occasions, and calling it satsang. Satsang is such a beautiful word. It doesn't mean satsang, that we all sat together and sang some songs. But it's really one of the most valuable parts. It's the easiest way to imbibe spirituality. We don't have to work very hard at it. We just have to be sponge-like. We have to be able to absorb it. And we have to be able to appreciate it. And one of the things, of course, is asking questions. That when we get that rare opportunity to poke the beehive so that the honey comes out, to ask questions and everything. So I'm very happy to be a part of this weekend. It's a wonderful weekend. It's bittersweet. I won't go into all of that. We know circumstances and everything, but it's wonderful to see this center grow, and now the retreat center coming up and everything. And I don't want to take too much time. I want Swamiji to have more time. But if anybody has one or two questions, I can take another 5 or 10 minutes or so. Sure. Yeah. I'll take credit for that. Thank you. Our center, yeah, because next weekend is the 25th Silver Jubilee, 25th anniversary of our center. We worked it out together somehow, that Swamiji will go straight back with me. And then next weekend will be a big celebration. We were started in 1990. Now, you know that this is a very auspicious day this week. Yeah. Today's the first? Today's the first. So the 125th anniversary of the founding of Bellarmine. And our center is the 25th. So we started in 1997. It was the 100th anniversary. And we started in Ram Navami. It was more or less the same day. 100 years after Bellarmine was founded, our center was founded. Swami Vivekananda himself, before the center was started in New York in 1894, he was invited to Baltimore by these brothers, the Brumman brothers, who wanted to start some type of universal universities, universal religion, something in Baltimore. It never panned out, but he took that opportunity to come and spend a few days in Washington, D.C. And he expressed his desire to see a center in Washington, D.C. And Swami Vedanta tried. He was there for some time in the 30s. Swami Vivedishanandaji had a center there. Swami Bhashanandaji used to come, and there was a little group there. So a lot of different groups tried. And then Swami Swanandaji, I should mention Swami Brahmarupanandaji also. He actually lived in the area, did a lot of work. He brought all the devotees together. But Swami Swanandaji had a theory which was based on something that Swami Sarvadevananda told him, Gopesh Maharaj. He mentions this several times, that Gopesh Maharaj said to him that he would like to see a center in every capital city, or the most important city, throughout the world, but in the states of India and in the West and everything. And Swami Swanandaji, of course, was the head of the New Delhi Center. So he had the experience of being in the capital, the center in the capital. So he had this desire to see a center started in Washington, D.C. So he wrote to headquarters. I had just gotten back. This was 1996. I had just gotten back from taking sannyasa. And, I was in Chabuco, Southern California, my first 16 years, and very, very happy there. I loved it there. And Swami Swanandaji came up to me shortly after I got back. It was June of 1996. And he said to me that I'm thinking of trying to start a center in Washington, D.C. Are you willing to go? And I knew a few things about Swami Swanandaji. One thing was that he had a million plans, and most of the time they didn't work out. It was like he would throw 100 things up in the air and see if one thing sticks, something like that. And I know he didn't like it very much when people just said, no, I don't want to do it. And I had such tremendous gratitude towards him. He really, it's a long story, but he really saved me in spiritual life. So I said, I have no real desire. I'm happy in Trabuco, but if you want me to go, I'll go. I thought he would say that, okay, that if you're happy here, then better to stay here. But he said, well, good, then you'll go. Then he wrote different letters to headquarters. He was famous for his letters to headquarters. I remember Swami Prabhupanandaji. He told me one time, what is your Swami up to? Every day we get a different letter, a different plan, a different scheme. And he wrote to headquarters. I think he gave 4 different options. He was a bit good with options. That either you send somebody or we send somebody or I'm in charge of 4. And then they said no. And then Swami Gahananandaji, he wrote to Swami Swanti or told him, just give them one thing. Don't give them too many options at headquarters. They'll get confused. So for some reason, he mentioned my name. And they took a vote. And if I'm not mistaken, Swami Sarvadevananda was in India at the time. Do you remember, Maharaj? And they took a vote whether to approve or not, and it was 50-50. 50 yes, 50 no. So they turned to Swami Bhuteshanandaji, my president, and he said yes. Do you remember, Maharaj? Yeah. So he was there at that time. So that's how it happened. Then I was sent there. We went a couple of trips together, Swami Swanandaji, myself, and finally we found a property that I fell in love with. saw, and we went into debt a little bit. We bought that property, and then I went there in March of 1997. So that's how our center started. And through Thakur's grace, Mother's grace, it's been steadily growing. And we have a wonderful group. It was an easy center because there was already a very strong group there. I didn't have to work hard to draw people. There were already a good group there. So, and Swami Sanji told me there's tremendous joy in doing pioneer work, starting something, from the ground up. And he was right. It's been a great joy and a great privilege to be able to do that. And now, see, I've been very lucky in my monastic life. I was under Swami Swananji first, and now under Swami Sarvadevananda. And both very loving and sweet, and giving tremendous freedom to work and everything, not bossing over or anything like that. So I've been very fortunate. And when Swami Swananji used to come, and now Sarvadevananda, just tremendous joy there. So that goes back again to the topic of sadhu sangha, satsang. This tremendous benefit that comes from holy company. Holy company also means company of devotees. You're all part of this holy company. And when devotees come together, then the mood changes, the environment changes, and we feel uplifted. You'd be surprised. You think that we're sadhus, that you're uplifted. We feel uplifted seeing the devotees also. Because Thakur used to praise them. He used to say, if a sadhu does spiritual practice, there's nothing special, nothing to be praised, nothing. But when the householders lead a life dedicated to spiritual practice and dedicated to the spiritual ideal, then he says it's wonderful, a great thing. So we also feel inspired by seeing all of you. So my thanks to Swamiji or Atmajnananda for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to the whole weekend. And now I think it's time to turn everything over to Swami Sarvadevananda.
So it is wonderful to be with you all. As I always say, it is a pleasure to come back again. And all of you, most of you, are coming to this center for a long time. And you are getting the benefit of this center. You have heard much about me from Swami Atmarupananda and Swami Atmajnanananda. They love me very much. That's why they praise so much. But actually they do everything, and I only come and occasionally see. That's my job. Actually, I am thankful to them because such dedicated souls who are really living a life to inspire many people. This Ramakrishna order has been established for the twin purpose, as you always know, Atma Mukti and Jagat Hita. And Atma Mukti, those who have focused their life on Atma Mukti, they can do much work in Jagat Hita. And those who think I will change the world, they mess the world. They make a mess of everything. So I am grateful to both the Swamis. They are exemplary sadhus in our tradition to bring this spiritual ideal manifest, not only through the temple and shrine and this, by their life and their love for the devotees, which is very important. And loving, we talk about seeing God in others, but to love the pure-hearted people, that's a sign of spirituality, and that has a contagious effect, and that transforms the life. So we are really blessed to have Ramakrishna order, which has produced such wonderful Swamis, and we can find two of the Swamis here. And I'm really have my greatest regard for them. Now today the topic is Satsanga. Swamiji was talking about holy company. Sat is holy. What is Sat? Sat is that which is eternal. In the Vedanta, we hear the word Satchidananda, the Sat, which is permanent, which is unchanging, which is eternal. Sangha means association. How can we associate our life with that eternal, unchanging, absolute truth? That is the mission of this Ramakrishna order. How we can apply that into our life and make our life perfectly turn from this world to unworldly level. Or you can say how we can see the same in the transcendental level as also in the immanent level. Transcendental level, we always know Brahman is Brahman is absolute, Brahman is Sat, eternal, unchanging. But Brahman is also in this form what we see around us. So Gita suggests, no? Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddese arjuna tishtati. Ishvar resides in the heart of all. That means what I am seeing is my misunderstanding about the divine within, and we see the outer costumes. So, how to have holy company or satsanga association, not only in closing the eyes and trying to focus in the inner realm of our heart, but also to open the eyes and to see what we see around and not get stuck to the exterior, but to touch what is inside. And that is the purpose of this Ramakrishna order. And that is the purpose Swami Vivekananda established this organization. Actually, it is established by Sri Ramakrishna. But the point is that we find that all whatever has been established, it is all centered around the love, unconditional love of Ramakrishna to his disciples and disciples' love for Ramakrishna. So this whole organization, its foundation is love. And that love is manifest as we move towards God. Actually, our mind will be much more concentrated in God within if we can try to see God outside. So, how to do this? This is a sadhana, spiritual practice, and to associate ourselves with God and his children, God and his children, if you call dualistic language. If you talk about in non-dualistic language, it is the Brahman seeing everywhere that same reality, and also with the closing eyes, seeing that reality within. So within and without, to see God, that is the goal of life. That is called the Vijnana. Sri Ramakrishna says Jnana and Vijnana, and that Vijnana is a state where this vision become equal. With closing eyes or opening eyes, they see the truth. Ramakrishna is to see with closed eyes and with open eyes. So this is a big task for us with the devotees of Ramakrishna tradition. It is a religion. It is a religion not of rituals. It is a religion not of only exterior behaviors of all performance of the puja and other things, but it is the puja of the living gods. That is the special emphasis of this holy organization. So, for this, we have to have how to reach this highest goal of life. That is the teaching which Sri Ramakrishna made it easy, Holy Mother made it easy, and Vivekananda made it in most popular language. So the whole purpose of life that we are seeking for is that unchanging, absolute, blissful state, knowingly or unknowingly, we are all seeking for that joy. We are seeking to be Be big. Our Upanishad says, Bhuma tu evo vijiggyasasya. You have to ask for the Bhuma, the infinite. Nalpe sukhamasti. Bhuma eva sukham. There is no happiness in little something. Only joy and happiness is there in the Bhuma, in the infinite. That infinite is that what is that infinite? God is infinite. Everything is changing. Only God does not change. Everything is momentary. In time it comes and in time it goes. But only the Lord who is inside, or the Brahman Atman, it does not change. Change appears on its surface. So this unchanging truth is actually the guiding force in our life. We know or we do not know. Tumi jano or na jano, tumi Ishwar. Whether you know or not, you are Brahman, you are Atman. But how to know? That is the struggle. That is called spiritual struggle. To follow the disciplines, follow instructions of our gurus, and practice, practice, and practice. This life is very precious. We must have to acknowledge that. Life is so uncertain. We do not know which moment it can just be finished. Padmapatre jal, jivana chanchal, kemone royecho, bhule, diva vibhavuri, ডাকো প্রাণ ভরি জয় রাম কৃষ্ণ বলে দিবা বিভাবরি. And a beautiful song, no? Padmapatri jal, the water in a lotus leaf. Jivana chanchal, this life is so momentary, so fragile, so passing. And how are you forgetting that truth? You are living in this life busy with the mundane aspects of our relative existence. We will have to live in the life. We'll have to eat, we'll have to sleep. We'll have to do our duties. But that's not all. That is to call Diva Vibhavuri. Therefore you call upon Diva Vibhavuri, day and night you call upon Ramakrishna name. The name of Sri Ramakrishna. Again, the question of that philosophical question. Who is Ramakrishna? That is a different thing. We think that he is the incarnation of God. He is God himself. What means, forget the name Ramakrishna. Sometimes we get confused with the name. Rama, Krishna, who is greater? Rama is greater or Krishna is greater? Ramakrishna is greater. Ramakrishna is the avatar of Varishta. How can it be? These are all different questions. We are not entering into that. But the question is that this life is very impermanent. And we see before us, last 2 years' experience, how many of our close friends we have lost, how many of our sadhus we have lost, how many of our known devotees we have lost. You cannot say how long we are here. But the best utilization of time, how can we utilize it best and smile and leave the body? It's not. Tulsidas said that. Tulsi jab jag mein aaye, oh Tulsi, when you came into this world, tu roye jag hase. You had to cry. And then the Jagat, the world, smile. Ha ha, a baby has born to suffer like us. And until the baby cries, we have to make him cry or her cry. Swami Vivekananda says, Heta suk ichcho motiman. Do you fool want to find happiness here? Just at the very beginning, your entry into the world starts with crying, no? And you want to be satisfied here with joy, with happiness, and you want to be pleased here. And live like that. Therefore, the question is that Tulsidas ji said, when you came, you cried. and people smile at your entrance. So you do such work, live such a life of spirituality. When you go, people will be crying for you, and you will be leaving this world with full smile and full joy and blessedness. So this is the responsibility before us. Our life is so precious. So how to do that? We should be aware of it, its importance, its values, and so much responsibility, of course. God gives us 24 hours time for all of us. A sant, a holy person, an unholy person, a person who is a king or who is the president of this country and who is a homeless guy there. Anyone, we are given the same time, 24 hours. But how these 24 hours go and how we spend our useless times, and how can we, understanding that, divert our attention to the meaningful living as Swamiji was talking about Sat, Sadhu Sangha. And in this time period, we are very fortunate. Sadhu Sangha has become so easy. Otherwise, in previous time, we used to go to sadhus. But sometimes you may not go to sadhus, but on your YouTube, you can see the sadhus. You're just lying down and some talk is going on. You can listen to that. You are driving your car and you can have some satsanga. So satsanga has come to us very close. But we have to open ourselves to that message and to think how I can absorb out of that and transform my character. And the spirituality is the transformation of character. Things will go on in the world, Always we consider, there is so much change in the world. World has not changed. It is, as Swamiji said, it is dog's tail. It is the same thing. There was Ravana in Rama's time. There are Kamsa and others in Krishna's time. All the time now is Putin is there and others. So the change, not change much. The people who are dedicated to God, those who are crying for, could not bear the suffering of others, that type of people is there. And people who can create trouble for others, those are also there. So it will continue. It will not going to stop, and we don't need to wait that everyone will be all holy and pious, and then I shall start my spiritual journey. And either like the other person on the bank of the or the beach, waiting for their waves to settle down, and then I shall take a dip. That will never happen. So we'll have to do it by austere life, with this busy life. There is nothing, I cannot do anything. I have no time. Within that type of environment, we'll have to take a dip into the ocean of love and consciousness that is called God. How to do that? That's the point. That's the point, Sat Sangha. To how we can just connect all through the life, in all situations, touching the base, touching the ground, touching our very fundamental reality, that is God. And we have so many ways we hear, so many means are there, but our sincere yearning is the fundamental question, that we want to understand the value of it and utilize our moment in a perfect way, so that no karma is not karma, but karma can be converted into karma yoga. This one, that is our major mistake in our life, is that we think that our whole day I am busy with karma, karma, karma. We segregate the life in two compartment. One is my spiritual life and another my secular life. But here is a great message of Ramakrishna, Vivekananda and Vedanta. There is no secular. They are all spiritual. How can be done? That path of application of that philosophy has been made realistic in this organization. That work is for whom? It is for my purification, if we say one way, or work, no work. I don't do work. I serve the same reality who is in me, in the deeper depth of my consciousness. And that consciousness is everywhere, whom I am seeing. There is the same reality. So what a beautiful spiritual tradition. It is there, it is nothing new. It is not a uncommon thing that it only Ramakrishna brought it. Yes, he emphasized on this. Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. But it is a great contribution to bring it up and make it a practical demonstration through the lives of this organization, the sadhus and the devotees. How many devotees, even living in the most busy life, they could think something differently in this vein, thinking it is a service to God. I am serving my wife. It is God in the wife. That is the ancient Upanishadic teaching. Navare pattukamayo patipriyo bhavati. Atmanastu kamayo patipriyo bhavati. Navare jayavi kamayo jayapriya bhavati. Atmanastu kamayo jayapriya bhavati. This is the ancient message. But application is the question. In our spiritual life, even a little of this application, that I am serving God who is in me and who is in front of, in another form. We find it is the same reality and I am serving God, whether I know it or not, but it is service good. So karma, karma is a very difficult task. Karma makes our life very miserable. Because karma is always friction. Karma is always confusion comes, anger comes, frustration comes in karma. But karma becomes smooth when karma can be then connected with this spiritual ideal. It is called the practical Vedanta. Now, how not seeing the outer crust of the personality, but to penetrate and see the divine, what is behind each one of us. We are all robots. All robots are functioning. But there is the energy behind, that is the consciousness, and that is God. So if we can think it is Ramakrishna behind somebody, the outer behavior is some different. Yes, no one is representing Ramakrishna because we are not fit, we are not so pure to represent him. But it is the same Ramakrishna manifesting, same Satchidananda manifesting. It is manifesting to the mind and emotion and ego. All these layers. And mind being impure, understanding being impure, egocentric, body-mind-centric ego. These layers, behind that layer is the eternal sun, eternal light, percolating through. That's why when it comes out, someone is holy, someone is unholy, someone is selfish, someone is unselfish. But these are all instruments. So if we can analyze and think that there is that reality behind, and I am serving that reality, we call it in sweet name, our Ishta name, Rama, 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 everywhere, Krishna, 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 or whatever, Rama, Krishna we say. So that is a great ideal given. Then karma, whole day's karma, instead of becoming source of misery and suffering, can be transformed into a subject of our peace and happiness. I'll be happy if suppose you get the opportunity to meditate whole night and find great peace. Is it not a great achievement? Similarly, if I can think from morning up to whole day, at the end of the day, I have served God, served God, served God. It is difficult to serve God in human body because there is a reaction. We can serve God here because He will not tell us anything. You do it rightly or wrongly, He's not going to scold. But when it comes to the human personality, you do whatever, a reaction is there. If you prepare a good meal, this is the food. Where is this spice? Where is this distasteful? Or reaction is there. But here it does not. That's why it is easy. People come to temple and offer whatever they like. But whether Ramakrishna takes it or not, we do not know that. So there is the question, but we can just put this noble idea. It is a tremendously high, elevated spiritual thought which can transform our life little by little, little by little, little by little. No? So I was talking about the same story of, I have told you many times, my stock is very little. So I told you the story about, so Ramakrishna said, hey, Swami Videswarananda Maharaj, the 10th president, when he became the president, then he came to our Sarvadapit. We are brahmacharis that time. And all the brahmacharis and sadhus assembled, and he being the first president, Sarvadapit, Swami invited him to come and stay with us and give us some blessings. And so with this question came karma. Oh, we are busy with karma. When we get the time of meditation? When we get the meditation, that's satsanga you are talking about. Where my satsanga? Where? If I go to sadhu, they will give me some work. And if I cannot do, they will give scolding. So where is my karma? So, if it is not done properly or if it is half done, so we get all the time scolding. Where is satsanga, rather the action comes, no? So then the Swami said, no, every karma can be done, given to God. You give away the God. So you prepare sandwiches, Ramakrishna sandwiches. He said, prepare Ramakrishna sandwich. Suppose you start working. At the time you think of Sri Ramakrishna and say, oh Lord, I'm doing your work. I'm serving you. And then you forget. Of course, you should engage, focus your mind in the karma to do it most perfectly. You do. But that time you forget about you are doing for Ramakrishna or anybody. No? Okay? Then when you remember, okay, think of Ramakrishna. And that's one sandwich. No? And now, again start another second part of your job. Okay, start there and again go on engrossed into your work and then make it sandwich, no? So a very beautiful term, Ramakrishna sandwich. So our karma, then karma will not bind because karma is taking us to Ramakrishna. And that becomes smooth. Your work, what the Christ said, my load, my easier than you have. And also in the song there is said that আমি যত ভার কুড়ায়ে লয়েছি সকলই হয়েছে বোঝা বন্ধু সকলই হয়েছে বোঝা তুমি যত ভার দিয়েছো বন্ধু সকলই হয়েছে সোজা. Oh Lord, whatever load you have given upon me, whatever duty you have entrusted upon me, it has become easy. When I go by my own ego and I have taken up anything, that has become a very heavy load on my head. এ বোঝা আমার নামাও বন্ধু নামাও ভারের বেগেতে ছুটিয়া চলেছি এ যাত্রা তুমি থামাও. So I am, with the load of that, I am running restlessly to unload that. But please help me, please help me. So this is the point. Karma becomes a burden. Work becomes a pain for us. But work can be the source of all joy. We see the Swamis, dear Swami was talking about Lokeshwarananda Swami and others. How much work they do, but how calm and serene they keep themselves. What is the secret of it? We have seen earlier Swamis also, Madhvananda Swami, when or say Videswarananda Swami, the general secretary, president. And as president, he used to do the job, both jobs. Sometimes president's job as also general secretary's job. So many responsibilities now. But how they used to keep their peace all the time. That is the point. There is a way, and they have practiced it and they have demonstrated it, that karma can be made smooth, karma can be made karma yoga, or karma can be made as offering and worship, as we worship in the temple. So whole days, any work, one glass of water, to give someone a glass of water can be puja with the proper attitude. So we have to cultivate that proper attitude. And if we continue, there our training of mind will learn that way. And then this two segment which we divided before, it is the secular and spiritual, that apparent distinction will vanish. Nivedita, in the introduction of the complete works, he has mentioned that idea, beautifully expressed that idea. So it is, where is the distinction between secular and spiritual? There is no distinction. If one and many are the expression of the same reality, one and the many are the expression of same reality, then our work is worship, because there is nothing but that one. And many are the expression of the one reality. Say one ocean, all the waves and ripples are the different manifestation of the ocean water. It is nothing but ocean. So if that is so everything is permeated with that consciousness. Everything is permeated with that Satchidananda self. So if that is so, then where is the distinction? What I did whole day, it is my puja, I did it. So Swami Vivekananda also placed it very nicely. The three states of our karma, leading from one level to the other: work and worship, and then work as worship, culminating into work is worship. And then the distinction gone means, with eyes open and with eyes closed, one can be totally saturated in the consciousness of the divine. So this is the task before us. And if this task is followed, then, because our life is such busy that our major time goes in work situation. And as we all complain, we have no time for meditation and prayer. And even if we have time for meditation and prayer, what we do in meditation time and prayer time, we think of the world more. Rather, now you are not thinking of anything because you are listening to something. But when you go to meditate, you are silent to yourself and look at that, what happens. So this is our meditation. And that because in the whole day's activity, we never bring this awareness of the conscious idea of the consciousness or idea of God. So we have to saturate our every activity in between. It should be interpenetrated with the concept of divine, or it is service to God. It is God, 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 God serving God. If this idea, even intellectually, it does not appeal at the beginning, let us do this. Start here and do with this idea. Then automatic ego will go away, or jealousy will go away. Because I am done for God. I am fortunate that I got the privilege to do. I am privileged to do this service. There's no question of my being tired. And this tired situation is good because I have served God. So it is a different dimension will manifest in our life. So I think that this is the way we can have our sadhu sangha whole day. We can be helpful to us to make ourselves. We are sadhu is inside. Everyone sadhu is inside. Sadhu, the holy, the pure, the stainless, that is inside. And that is to be brought out by this type of process of thinking and acting. And every moment, if we become aware, little bit aware, then this workload will not be on upon us. Work will be better, because focus is not in anything, but it is a offering to God. Offering to God. Whatever we offer to God, you bring flowers from the market. Huh? If suppose you want a garland, how do you make the garland? The best flowers you can take. You bring something for offering, say fruits. You select not the unripe, but the ripe, the best, the just, good. So whatever we give it to God, it should be given the best. So whatever service we are doing, that should be. That's why I didn't understand when I joined, because I see that the Swamis are scolding us right and left, because for being we do, someone says, make the table. Okay, we make the table clean and some dot will be here, that will be there. See, our way of working. If you give a table cover, it will be bent like that. If we keep some spoon and fork, it will be around this way, that way. So what is that? It is work. That story, this Swami speaks many times about Lokeswarananda Swami's story. He joined, and he was in the beginning stage, and he came and he went to Swami Madhavananda Maharaj and said, Maharaj, can I do anything for you? Because in those days there are not many help. So Maharaj gave him some envelopes and put some stamps, to put some stamps on the envelope. So Maharaj did those stamps, putting those stamps and gave it to Madhavanandaji Maharaj. And after some time when he comes, he finds that Madhavananda Swami is taking out those stamps and organizing and placing in the exactly parallel to the corner, exactly that way. He's doing everything. And that was a lesson to Lokeswarananda Swami for long. So this is the type of work, because it is doing for whom? We give gift, Christmas gift in this country particularly. I think that why they spend so much time to wrap this with a new beautiful, and you have to just tear away and throw away. But you see, that is the decency. You are giving it to someone with love. Shraddha. Yesterday someone is reminding me, Hiyadayam, Bhiyadayam, Shraddhayadayam, Ashraddhaya, Adeyam. If you have to give something, give with love, give with respect, give with dignity, give with perfection. So that is a puja. I can do it because I am giving in a social condition. We are in a nice society, so we should do it this way. But in spiritual life, it is more important to do that perfectly. Whatever is to be done, because I am giving it to God. Maybe I am giving to my friend, but that friend idea is the external reality. Internal reality, I am giving it to God. In that, my friend. Only we have to add, in that, my friend, in that, my husband, in that, my wife, in my friend, in my brother, in my sister, in my mother, with my mother-in-law, father-in-law, whatever condition we are. Just to see. Your boss, you are giving a job, he has given a job. You internally can think that I am doing for Ramakrishna, and then do it the best way you do, and then offer it. You mentally can think that you touch the soft inside and offer it. And then that karma will be purifying the heart. And that purification of heart, Chitta Suddhi, is the very foundation of our spiritual life. So it is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So what to say? I'm really happy to see you all again, and it really it is a great joy. And only our one sad news that this Swami will have to go for a greater call. We are all servants of Ramakrishna. No? We come and go. Only Belur Math say, hello, come. Bas. in early days, they used to say that only those days there is no so much formalities and this and that. Earlier, Madhavananda Swami, one postcard comes. Huh? As soon as you receive this letter, you pack up your thing and come. You are needed for some other place. Bas, one postcard. So we are the soldiers of Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. So wherever call comes, we have to go. It is necessary, but we will miss here. And but I think he will help all send his love from there, and he's not going now, but for 2 weeks maybe, but he will come back. But the question is that that necessity is somewhere in the Paris, so he will have to go, and we'll miss him here. But they will be benefited there. And this Thakur's work, Thakur will bring somebody, I do not know whom, but hope that this center will be continuing to have the same spirit of self-transformation. This is the opportunity. The center is not a building. The center is not something other than spiritual, a place for spiritual growth and development. We don't come here for work. We come here for self-transformation. We have to all remember that. Whatever Swami has done these few years, his contribution, always teaching the basic principles of spirituality, Vedanta, no? And that every time we hear, it transforms little by little our mind. So please keep that spirit. And as I said, life is very short. So it should be utilized for the purpose for which we are here, to follow our instruction of our gurus and to make this life meaningful, purposeful, and joyful. So thank you all. Namaskar.
So it was a great blessing to have Swamiji here. I don't want to dilute the beauty and the power of his words, so I won't give a long conclusion. Just let me say that Maharaj and Swami Atmajnanananda ji and Pravrajika Brahma Prana, who stays in Dallas, they will be here tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, or tomorrow late afternoon at 5 o'clock, again to speak on the topic of meditation. And so please, those of you who can, please do come. Tomorrow morning we have initiation for those who have arranged for the initiation already. And so the center will be charged with spiritual power tomorrow after the initiations, and tomorrow afternoon the Swami and the two Swamis and the Pravrajika, 3 sannyasins, will be here to speak. 5 o'clock, and then Sunday, we have the inauguration of the new retreat in Trinity. And so that will be start at 11 o'clock in Trinity, last until 4:30 in the afternoon. We'll serve lunch to everyone, so we hope that as many of you as possible can come for that as well. So it's with great joy and appreciation to Swami Sarvadevananda ji and to Swami Atmajnanananda ji that we end this session with a chant. Om Dyo Shantihi Antariksham Shantihi Prithvi Shantihi Apa Shantihi Oshataya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantihi Vishwe Deva Shantihi Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Peace is in the heavens. Peace is in the sky. Peace is on earth. Peace in the waters. Peace in the plants and the trees. The gods are peace. Peace is the nature of truth. All is peace. Peace alone, peace. May that peace, real peace, be with us all. Oh, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all the beings of the universe.